Hello. I started just a little bit early so that hopefully the notification will go out, but we'll see what happens. I figure it's going to be me talking to myself for a few minutes before people get here, so... Oh, good! A notification went out. That's exciting. That makes my life much easier. We don't have to start over or do any pain in the ass stuff. We get to just go, so that's fantastic. Makes me happy. Let me get my laptop caught up real quick. Go, fucker! There we go. We're good. Yay! Hi, guys! Hey, Eric, you're number one. Tacos, indeed. I want tacos. I'm just way too lazy to make tacos, but I want them. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Calvin. Hey, Dawn. How are you guys? So how are we doing? I know we've just got a few people in here right now, but it's Richard Ramirez night, part 2. I'm not sure if there's going to be a part 3 or not. We might just cover everything tonight. Or it might take way too long and we might end up having to do another one, which is, you know, not exactly sad. I love doing these, so. Yeah, how is the family doing? How are you guys? Let's see. Naomi says, you've been impatiently waiting. I'm sorry. I know I took an extra week to come back and do this, but week 1 just sort of went down the drain and became useless, and it was better for everyone that I took time to get some notes together on all of the victims and things. And I know we discussed doing sock puppets and things. That did not come to fruition. I did not make it that far. So what we're gonna do, and it might just get me banned. We'll see what happens. But we're just going to go through and talk about the murders and what happened to people and just make it just real straightforward. I will make sure not to, be like, oh my God, and then he almost cut her head off. I'll try not to be like excited about it or anything, so that Facebook doesn't pick up like a tone of joy, because these things are heinous, truly. But we'll just see what happens with the Facebook gods. Hey, Lori. Hi, Jen. Hello, Ego. Yeah, I have a different wig this time. Makes a huge difference. I have my discarded pile of wigs over there. I went through and was like, not that one. Not that one, no. I settled on this one. Hey, Jason, what's up? Hello, Shayna. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Dustin. Hey, everybody. I know, the lack of sock puppets, I started thinking about having, like, a Richard Ramirez sock puppet. And I was like, is that weird? Like, I know I'm already pretty out there. I'm pretty strange. I'm on the outskirts. But, I don't know. I felt like owning a Richard Ramirez with like the tousled hair and stuff on the sock puppet. Somehow that struck me as a line that perhaps I should not cross. But now, of course, that I decided not to do it, I really want to do it, and I feel like that's something I should own. So I don't know if anyone's like super handy with sock puppets. Feel free to make a Ramirez sock puppet and just happen to send it to me. That would be great. So to review, let's see, we have 14 people. I'd like to get a few more if that's possible. If we can't, no worries. Yeah, before we really get going. So I'm just gonna review Richard Ramirez. One sec. Oh yes, we love the doctor. Hey Howie, how are you? Hey Connor. So to review on Richard Ramirez, do you guys have any questions from last time? Sorry, I got distracted by a comment. I said I saw handy with sock puppets giggity, and I was like, God fucking damn it. So okay, so Richard Ramirez was the Night Stalker. He was arguably one of the worst serial killers of all time, both because of, the number of victims he had, which is crazy. He had 19 death sentences. They got 19 of them to stick. One sec. And he was absolutely brutal in his methods, and he also did things in such a varied way that it was hard to catch him for a very long time until they were able to match up some shoe prints and things from him. And then he got a little messier, a little clumsier. Some of it was dumb luck that he didn't get caught for so long, but he used guns. He would strangle people with his hands. He used ligatures. At one point he used a machete, he used knives, he used all kinds of things that made it really difficult to pin down a pattern and figure out for a while that this was the same guy doing all the things. A sec. And another thing that made him scary, his general lack of remorse when he was caught, his outbursts in the courtroom, the fact that he really thought that he thought he was serving a higher power or a lower power, depending on how you look at it. He believed that he was a soldier of Satan. He was directly serving the Dark Lord, as it were. And his idea of Satan was as the absolute evil, not as, the adversary or a force against the mainstream or, a force against the church. It wasn't, the more modern idea of Satanism. It was, he was a devil worshiper. He believed that Satan wanted him to do evil, and Satan would protect him in his doing of evil things. So it was a mess, I think is the best way to put that. It was a big old mess. Did they ever investigate his brain through MRI or CT scans? I don't believe they did, but I'll have to look it up to make sure. In fact, I can just... One sec. I want to see where his brain ended up. Tell me. Okay, I will have to look that up later because it's going to be a situation. It's going to take a minute. All right, let me scroll up. I've missed some comments. Connor, did I already say hi to you? If I didn't, sorry and hi. Let's see. You've been having migraines at work here lately? Is it like only at work? Or, you just said at work, but, because, it makes me wonder about, like, the lighting in there, or, even smells and things can set off migraines. Todd, hello! How are you? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I found a septum clicker and was like, I'm gonna wear that. Looks like something a crow would want to collect. Day 7 of a 10-day stretch. I honestly don't know how you're even functioning. That's horrifying. I get a migraine and I am stupid and I am mean and I don't want to deal with people, and it's like, and I'm terrible at handling them because I'm like, I need my screens. I have to look at my screens. But the screens make it hurt more. It's a whole thing. But lying there in silence is just, it's frustrating. They all eventually have a pattern that will turn up over a long period of time, but his murder spree lasted, it wasn't super long. Hold on. I'm going heavily off of notes tonight, you guys, because my brain has not kicked in all day. It was just like, no. So, it was June 1984 to August 1985. So it wasn't a particularly long time. I wouldn't call that a particularly long time. And some of them were spaced out by months. So establishing a pattern with him, they did eventually catch him and they figured it out, and he left enough evidence behind that he was busted. But it took long enough that a lot of people died in the meantime. You made it to the weekend. His cousin, okay, so one of the things with Richard Ramirez is, and I always have to do the disclaimer. I'm not saying that anything he did was okay at all. Like, it's all fucked up. It's horrible. There's no excuse. But I will say that this person did not stand much of a chance of being, like a well-adjusted adult. Certainly, there's never any excuse to go out and brutally murder and rape people. That's horrible. But, when he was 12, he witnessed the murder of his cousin's wife. His cousin shot the wife in the face in front of Richard. Before that, he had seen, war photographs. His cousin had been in Vietnam, and his cousin had raped people and, kept mementos. He had raped and then decapitated a woman, and there was a picture of him with, her head. There were things like that he was exposed to. Also, Richard's older sister married a man who was a peeping Tom. And for a while, Richard was staying, when he was a teenager, he was staying with his sister and her husband, and he would actually take Richard out and teach him how to do peeping Tom things. He'd take him to spy on women or watch people go to the bathroom and do things like that. So there's that. There's also the 2 head injuries that Ramirez sustained that were very, very bad. Both of them knocked him clean out, which is just a pretty bad sign. One of them, he was really little, and he was reaching up to turn off a radio, and he was using a dresser kind of as stairs, like he pulled out the drawers. And he climbed up there to turn on the radio, and the whole thing fell on him, the whole dresser. And the next time he got hit in the head with a swing. His sister was swinging, he ran up to hug her, he was excited to see her, and he just got bashed in the face with a swing. So he had the head injuries, he had the abusive home life, he had, his siblings around him, with the exception of his sister, were getting into all kinds of stuff, teaching him how to steal. He had his cousin who showed him all of his wartime stuff and didn't help, and then the murder in front of Richard, which he never told anyone about. And that had to be horrifying, because he was told not to say anything, never say anything to anyone or you'll get dragged into this. So he witnessed the crime, and then he left, and he never told anyone until later he was in custody, when he was in prison. Then he finally talked about it, but that's quite a long time. All right, one second. Let me catch up on comments real quick. Hey, Sykes, how are you? Hey, Miguel. Oh, I'm glad you like Dr. Vanth. Vanth is fun. Yeah, if Ramirez, Dustin, you're right. If he wasn't so horrible, I'd feel really bad about his upbringing and things. And in a way, I do, because he just had no shot. But also, that's a lot of murder. Hey, Violet, how are you? Oh, Connor, I hope it gets better. That's too much work. I'm catching up. I'm doing it. I'm getting there. Hey, now, so what if you did evil shit? We all have our flaws. Yeah, yes. If Richard Ramirez got to court and was just like, oopsie daisy, I'd be like, oh, well, you should let him go. I mean, whoopsie. Ramirez protect, he attack, but most importantly, he peep in the window. You crack. Okay, I'm getting there. Hi, Mike. Hey, anyone that I missed, I'm super sorry. I think I got everybody, though. So, alright. So I have a bunch of notes on all of the people he killed. Some of them I'll go pretty in-depth into. Some of them I'm just going to kind of skim over. And we're going to see what happens when you talk about murders graphically on Facebook. It'll be funsies. So, the first one we're going to talk about is 9-year-old Mei Lung, okay? She was only added to his victims list in 2009. Or it was thought up until 2009 that his first victim had been Jenny Vincow, and that is not correct. His first murder was actually in San Francisco. It was this 9-year-old in a hotel he'd been staying in, and because it's a little kid, and that kind of freaks me out, we'll just go with she was strangled and she was sexually assaulted. She was hung from a pipe. And they pieced that together with... Sorry, I'm not laughing at this at all. I saw a comment and it made me laugh at a really inopportune time. They pieced this together with DNA evidence later on as more technology became available, and were able to place him at that crime. So the defense, this is what made me laugh. The defense would like to say, my bad. Yeah, pretty much like, whoops. All right, so June 28th, 1984 was Jenny Vincow. Her apartment window was open. He easily removed the screen. He would get in a lot through unlocked windows, unlocked doors, things like that. But he was also pretty good at getting them unlocked. So while, the advice at the time was, oh my God, the Night Stalker's out, make sure everything's locked. If it wasn't too difficult to Jimmy, he was going to get in anyway. But in this particular case, he made it in. As soon as he realized that he could not rob her and make a whole bunch of money, he got really pissed. He realized she didn't live expensively, and he flipped his shit. He stabbed her repeatedly in the chest, and then he slashed, stabbed, however you want to put it, her throat. But ended up cutting her throat, but it was more of a stabbing motion, so deeply that this poor woman was nearly decapitated. And a lot of his crimes they're known for the violence in them, how passionately he went about murdering these people. Rindy, did I say hello? Hello, Rindy! Alright, catching up. There are killers that lure people with candy, Mike, but he was not one of them. So the following rampage didn't begin immediately. So that was June 28th, 1984. On March 17th, he had an incredibly busy day, like a super busy day. He bought a .22 caliber revolver. Okay, that was like the beginning of his day. He was like, I might need this later. Still March 17th, he kills Dale Okazaki and Maria Hernandez. So this one's weird. So he actually didn't kill Maria. I misspoke. I'm sorry, but he did kill Dale, her roommate. So Maria drives home, and she gets out of her car, and she goes in through her garage, and she closes the garage door, and he sneaks in under the garage door before it closes. And she hears him, and she turns around, and he shoots at her. He tries to shoot her in the face, but she puts up her keys. She had her keys in her hand, and she goes, ah! I don't know if she squeaked, but she goes, ah! And the bullet hits her keys and glances off. She hits the ground because she thinks she's been shot before she realizes that it didn't happen. So she thinks she's been shot. She hits the ground. He thinks he shot her. So he goes up the stairs and into their apartment where he finds Dale, and he shoots her just straight in the forehead. She had been hiding behind a counter when she heard the gunshot. She pokes her head up, kind of kind of a whack-a-mole situation. Shoots her right in the middle of the forehead. She drops. He leaves. The other woman, Maria, is able to call the police and explain the whole thing, and it was very fucking weird. His baseball cap, he had an AC/DC baseball cap that was left behind, and they did not at all tie this crime to the first one, to the Jenny Vincow one, because he used a gun in this case, and it was just super weird that he had just followed her in like that. And he really had picked her at random. He picked her off of the highway. He'd been driving on the freeway with a stolen car, which was his MO. He would just pretty much steal new cars every day. And it was always a Toyota, because he had a pass key for Toyotas. So he had seen her and been like, I'm going to follow that lady. But he didn't rob them at all. He just committed the murder and left. And they were really, really sure that it had to be some sort of love triangle situation or something, some motivation, but there was absolutely none. And that threw him. All right, let me catch up. I missed something, so I came in on, come here, let me clap them sauce packets, and I'm like, I don't know what led up to that. Yeah, I'd probably get killed. I like unlocked windows and open windows and stuff like that, and I don't know, but then I study things like this, and I get a little nervous about it, and I don't know, it kind of ruins the relaxing nature of a window open on a summer night, when suddenly you're just like, am I going to be raped and murdered? And it's like, maybe I should close the window. I have to say, if he was a real psychotic serial killer, Hannibal Lecter is the most genius on getting his victims and killing them. Yes, I have mad respect for Hannibal Lecter. Oh, my spiral for my beloved. And then this is a rabbit mask that someone made for me once upon a time that I got tattooed. And it has the antimony symbol on its forehead for Azazel. 1 of 1 in a million, deflect a bullet with car keys, trophy locked. Right? That one kind of amazed me. Alright, I'm scrolling. I'm getting there. Alright. So, the next one is still March 17th, okay? Big day, like I said, big day for Ramirez. March 17th, Veronica Yu, 30 years old. So, after he kills Dale, he starts to follow this woman, Veronica Yu, and he starts following her in his stolen car, and she notices him. She notices him in the rear view, and she's like, this guy's following me, she intentionally doesn't go home. She starts making kind of random turns to see if he's following her, and he was. So at one point she pulls over to the side of the street and lets him pass by her, and he's like, fuck, but she acts like she's going somewhere. He pulls past her, then gets out of the car and comes back and talks to her. And she's like, what the fuck do you want? Why have you been following me? She just straight up confronts him. She's like, why? Why were you following me? And he's like, I thought I recognized you. I'm sorry. It was a case of mistaken identity. And gave really lame excuses for why he was following her. And she was like, no, you were definitely following me. So a struggle ensues. Hold on, let me get the details of the struggle. Okay, so they got in a fight, through the driver's side window, which was open. Again, open windows. But they've been talking. He tries to pull her, and she was pretty tiny, it sounds like. Tries to pull her out of the car through the driver's side window. And she's like, absolutely the fuck not. She fights back. So then he jumps over the hood of the car, gets to her unlocked passenger door, and goes inside the car with her. He was very, very fast. Shot her once under the right arm. So down here, by the boob. He shot her by the boob. And then again in the back as she got out of the car and tried to run away. She died very shortly afterwards. Hey, Stefano, how are you? Because nothing says Happy St. Patrick's Day like a murder/sexual assault spree. Right? That's... You gotta celebrate in whatever way is traditional for you, I guess. So one crazy motherfuckers. Guys, okay, let me explain something that has, and I'll try to make it quick because we have a lot of notes to get through, but I got a keyboard update recently, and as you can tell, I swear a lot, just a lot. I swear an unbelievable amount, and I get this keyboard update, and it was mandatory on my phone, and I was just like, okay, they weren't going to let you keep using the keyboard if you didn't update the keyboard, so I was like, cool. I update it. It won't let me swear. It watches the context in which I say words, and it won't let me say major curse words Like, motherfucker is totally out. It autocorrects it to Mother Fulkerson. I shit you not. I don't understand why it does that. Shit is always like shot and, you know, little things like that. But it won't even let me say, like, you suck. It won't let me do that. Like, if suck is said in, like, an aggressive way, it won't allow it. So I'm having a very difficult time. And I can correct it, but, like, every time I swear when I'm texting, I have to go in and, like, approve it and do, like, check mark on all of them. And I can't figure out how to turn my autocorrect off. So if anyone knows how the fuck to turn off autocorrect, please save me. Because it's horrible. Okay. So March 27th, 10 days later. Vincent Zazara and his wife Maxine. So this guy was just sleeping on the couch, okay? He was just peacefully sleeping on the couch, the TV was on, and Ramirez comes in and just fucking shoots him in the side of the head. And alright. The wife hears it and is like, that was definitely a gunshot. He forced her down, bound her hands behind her back with a tie. He uses ties a lot. Demanding to know where valuables were kept. There was a shotgun under her and her husband's bed, okay? And she knew it was there, so she kind of played along and let him bind her and things. And then when she was laying on the ground and he was you know, ratcheting through all of their stuff, trying to find the valuables and things, she managed to get a hold of the shotgun and also get herself loose. Well, the shotgun wasn't loaded. She didn't know that. It had been unloaded because their grandchildren had come to visit, but she didn't realize it hadn't been reloaded, or perhaps that it had been unloaded in the first place. So she levels it at Ramirez, and she hears this horrible click, and there are no bullets, nada. He shot her 3 times before just beating the absolute shit out of this poor woman. He tried to cut out her heart, but he failed because, you know, it's like super hard to get through a rib cage. It's not a fun time. So he ended up just leaving, from trying to get in there and gouging at her, a giant inverted cross on her chest. He cut out her eyes and put them in a jewelry box of hers, which he took with him. We don't know really what became of the eyes. The jewelry box, however, ended up with his sister. He sent it as a gift, but we don't know where the eyes went. One sec, let me catch up. Auto carrot. Yeah, Scarlett really wants to swear, and it's brutal. And I'll go and say something really serious, and, like, I'll be angry about something, and I go back, and it said, like, Mother Fulkerson or something, and I'm like, no! And what is it? Bullshit. It corrects to Shipshawana, which apparently, my fiance had to look it up for me. It is a town in Indiana where they are known for their flea markets. Shipshawana, I believe it is. I think it's Indiana. But yeah, bullshit becomes Shipshawana. What the fuck? Huh. May 14th, 1985. Bill and Lillian Doy. This one's sad, guys. This one's rough. So, Lillian had a stroke, and she was basically non-communicative and had very much a lot of trouble walking or moving around. She's able to, in this emergency here, you know, get up and walk to, like, her bedroom door, but it was very, very difficult, and she has a hard time speaking. So, Bill's awakened by the sound of Ramirez chambering around. He goes for the handgun in his nightstand. He's shot through the face as he tries to shoot Ramirez, but he wasn't fast enough. He gets shot through the tongue. Bullet lodged itself in the back of his throat and does not kill him immediately. Ramirez beat him severely, took his gun, and moved on to Lillian, who was in her own bedroom and had woken up to the sound of shots. He bound her with thumb cuffs, which I had to look up. They're just like little handcuffs, but for thumbs. Thumb cuffs in and of themselves are actually super cute, but not the application. Tore the house apart looking for valuables. When he was done looking, he returned to the room and he raped Lillian before he left. And she was older. I don't have her age written down, but she was older, and several of Ramirez's rape victims are older, and that is absolutely heinous. Struggle snuggles? Yes. Oh, please, yes, please, Stefano, save me from myself, because I swear way too much to have autocorrect on. I'm catching up. I am, Violet, thank you. Yeah, maybe her eyes were amazing and he just had to take the eyes. I'm not sure, but I think that was just a spite thing. He was like, "You try to shoot me, motherfucker, I will take your eyes," because apparently that's a thought process. All right. May 29th, 1985. This one sucks too, guys. Okay, buckle up, because this one's like also brutal. Mabel Bell, Ma Bell, and her sister Florence Lang, who went by Nettie. They're 83 and 80 respectively. Ma Bell was bludgeoned to death. And when I say bludgeoned, I mean there was brain matter at the crime scene. Like outside. Both of them were beaten so severely that you could see their brains. And there were pieces of it around the crime scene. They amazingly did not die immediately. In fact, they both stayed in comas for quite some time before eventually succumbing and dying. Which sucks. But there's kind of no way around it after the damage he did. But there's... This is one of the ones I'm trying to kind of curve a little bit for Facebook. Sexual assault was involved, and he wrote in lipstick, he put an upside down pentagram on the wall above, I believe it was Mabel Bell's bed, and also on the back of her left thigh with the same lipstick. They were in fact sexually assaulted, yes. Now, a lot of these, he attempted to sexually assault people, but he was unable to do it. It really depended on the level of violence with him. And one of his problems, which ended up being good for some people, was that he had a really hard time getting it up sometimes. And it really depended on the level of violence involved, if that was going to work out. But when he couldn't get it up, things got worse, and he would beat people even more or kill them more violently. And that's kind of a common thread with serial killers who like can't maintain or get an erection. They taking it out on the other person who they're assaulting. Freud would have a field day with mommy issues with him if he tended to rape older, like his mom's age. Yeah! And he picked his victims pretty much, well, not at random. He would drive around in, like, the greater Los Angeles area, and some in San Francisco, but mostly Los Angeles area. And he would go by feel. He would think, oh, this is the perfect house. Like, I found it. This is the one type stuff. And then he would stop there. And, and some of it depended on, like, how the windows were laid out, how the streetlights hit the house, if there were any streetlights, who was home at the neighbors, things like that. But he, sometimes he'd find one that was, like, perfect situationally, but he just wasn't feeling it, and he wouldn't go to that house. So, yeah, he, as much as he did ultimately have a pattern, he was pretty random. He went where his creepy little heart told him to go. Alright. May 30th, 1985, Carol Kyle, 41. At gunpoint, he bound Kyle and her 11-year-old son with handcuffs and ransacked the house. He released Kyle so that she could direct him to where the family's valuables were, okay? He then raped her repeatedly, so he was successful this time. He also repeatedly ordered her not to look at him. That was another one of his big things. Like, if he rape you. And a lot of times when he was done raping you, he'd like kiss the person tenderly, which for some reason, like, that's worse to me. Like the initial violation, yes, that's absolutely terrible. But then to someone just gently, like, ew, no, not for you. He threatened to cut her eyes out if she looked at him, and he fled the scene after retrieving the child from the closet and binding the two together again with the handcuffs. He also was pretty good about, and I am not complimenting Ramirez at all, but just making sure that he did not rape people in front of their kids. That's a small consideration. I thought, I was going to say, that was really nice of him, but it's no, the whole thing was mean of him. The whole thing was shitty of him, but, like, I thought it was nice to not add insult to injury and also do it, like, in front of the kids who would then be even more traumatized by the situation. So I thought it was interesting that he had, like, a line there that he was like, oh, well, I'm going to do this, but not in front of the kids. Save the kids. One sec, y'all. All right. July 2nd, 1985, Mary Louise Cannon. She was 75 years old. I have to skim over these, remember what they are, remember what to cut out, and then tell you guys about them. So, this one was pretty straightforward, no sexual assault. Bludgeoned her into unconsciousness with a lamp, and then repeatedly stabbed her using a 10-inch butcher knife. That's just like a bonkers huge knife. She was found dead at the scene, as, one should be. This one's weird, guys. I mean, they're all pretty weird. But, July 5th, 1985, Whitney Bennett, 16 years old. This was, one of the houses that he was like, I want that one. I like that one. He liked how the front door was and had the position of a tree in the front yard. He liked these things about it. And he waited till everyone was asleep, as he usually did. But, and Whitney, 16 years old, had come home from, I believe it was a date with her boyfriend, and she had not long before gone to bed. She had like her glass of water and stuff there, and she's all comfy and peaceful, and he comes in with a tire iron, and he beats her so completely severely that she needs 300 stitches in her head. They had to shave her head and stitch her up, and it was just apparently just like grid work of stitches. And this is also the one where he thought Jesus came in and intervened with his work, with what he thought was Satan's work. He started strangling her with a phone cord after he had beaten her, and the phone cord, it was still plugged in, so it started sparking, and he thought he saw like a weird blue light rise out of her, and he didn't know what it was, but all of a sudden he was like, oh, this is Jesus. Jesus is intervening, which is really kind of weird, because this is a guy who genuinely thought he was protected by dark evil forces, but suddenly he was like, oh, I have to get out of here, Jesus is here, and he bailed and left her, and she didn't die. She went to the hospital in very, very bad condition. She was able to call out for her parents, who had not heard the whole thing, and they got an ambulance there, and she was actually okay. One sec. Really wish we knew more about how these people's minds worked. It's so crazy to think that these sort of people actually exist, and the crimes are so heinous. Yeah, and I always wonder, like which uncaught serial killers are out there right now doing fucked up shit. Probably because it's in bad taste, but I'm surprised you don't hear any metal concept albums based around serial killers like Ramirez. See, that would be interesting. He did not get a phone call from Jesus, exactly, but, he believed he was contacted, and the crime was prevented by, good Lord, Jesus Christ. Hey, Oz, what's up? I'm scrolling. Skinned is fantastic. I love Skinned, and I'm waiting for their next chapter because that's going to be amazing. I know they're doing one on Columbine for sure. They're doing one on Mary Bell, a 10-year-old who killed. I don't know what the rest of chapter 3 will be, but I know I've heard 2 of the songs that are on chapter 3, and I'm really excited for Skinned's new work. Oh. One sec. I need a drinky drink. Hold on, let me see where we are right now. So we have far to go. There's 8:39. Yeah, we can do this tonight. I am not a haunt actor. I just like really weird, dramatic makeup. But no, I don't do the haunt thing. July 7th, 1985. Joyce Lucille Nelson and Sophie Dickman. He found Joyce Nelson asleep on her living room couch and beat her to death using his fists and kicking her in the head. He left a shoe print on the side of her face. Not super ideal if you're trying not to get caught. After cruising to other neighborhoods, he returned to Monterey Park and chose the home of Sophie Dickman, 63. So he went back to the same neighborhood the same night, even right after that, which at this point he was almost, he didn't believe he could be caught. He didn't think it was, he thought, which is, again, the whole Jesus thing contradicts that. His sudden fear of a higher power stopping him, but then he went right back to thinking that he was protected by his Lord Satan, by what in his view was like the ultimate evil. He thought he was protected by it. So he was doing dangerous things like going back to the same neighborhood, a couple kills in a row, and things like that, like he did on this night. This night he failed to rape her. Okay, it wasn't going to happen, but he stole her jewelry. And she swore on Satan. He made her swear on Satan that he had gotten everything, and he left her alive. And yeah, this is him. This is pretty much him losing his shit. It goes on for a while, though. It goes on through August. But yeah, this is, because we're in July of 1985. He gets caught in August of 1985, and this is pretty much where he was just absolutely losing his mind. And yeah, berserk mode. Oh. Okay, Max and Leela Needing, Glendale. Both shot to death, 2 counts of murder and robbery. He purchased a machete for going, so you guys know a machete's coming up. Before he went and visited the Needings, he purchased a machete. And he specifically thought that when he killed someone with a machete, he didn't understand that a machete is like a hacking instrument. He thought he would be able to just go whoosh, and their heads would just fly off. And so there's actually a period where he's hacking at these people, where he's truly disappointed because the head didn't just sort of go whoop. And I don't know if that's like weirdly funny or if that's just hellacious. I can't tell. My brain is wired so that sometimes those things are the same. But yeah, so he experimented with a machete and it didn't work out how he thought, but he was still able to kill them. And he was like, okay, well, at least it did its job. After the murders and the robbery, he went back and played with the machete some more, and it was just a really horrifying mess. I believe this is the same night. Yeah, this is still on July 20th, after the machete incident. And I'm gonna pronounce this just like so poorly. The Covenant family. He shot the husband, whose name I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. He shot him in the head immediately. He often did this with the men. He would just shoot the guy immediately, so he didn't have to deal with them, and he would be left alone with the woman of the house. He repeatedly raped and beat the wife, whose name I'm also not going to try to pronounce because I just suck and I don't want to butcher it. He bound the couple's terrified 8-year-old son. Sorry, this note is long. I'm just going to read it straight from here. Terrified 8-year-old son before dragging her around the house to reveal the location of any valuable items, which he stole. During his assault, he demanded that she swear to Satan that she was not hiding any money from him. Let's see. Sorry, Driller Killer is there's a movie just called Driller Killer, isn't there? Because I think I've seen it and I think it's hilarious. Let's see. Really long comment. Hold on. I'm trying to read Randall's comment real quick. I've seen a few documentaries, but they always say the same thing about how some seem to be born to kill and some seem to be molded to kill by society or their personal life. I guess it's really just a mix of both types. Maybe some people are born with no empathy and can treat humans like cattle, and some are pushed over the edge. I still think it's wild how they can commit these kind of crimes. Yeah, it's... I think Ramirez is an example of one who is definitely made. But again, I can't know that. But he did have a lot of fucked up shit happen to him. I have been to Louisiana. I went in, where was it? January of this year. I took a drive. I'm in Colorado. I went down through Texas and across the South, and it was really, really fun. I went all the way to Georgia and then came back. So yeah, I've been to the South. And Louisiana makes me really, really, really happy. I love it there. So, all right. Guys, we're closing in on like the last 5 pages of this stuff. I hope this is entertaining you. I always feel a little bit bad when I'm just like, and then this person got killed, and then this person got killed, but it was way worse. And that's pretty much like the whole tone of the show. So I hope you're not bored. No. So, all right, August 6th. Chris and Virginia Peterson. This didn't go well for him. This went very, very badly for him. Crept into the bedroom, startled Virginia, and shot her in the face with a .25 caliber semi-automatic handgun. He then shot Chris in the neck and attempted to flee. Chris fought back while avoiding being hit by 2 more shots during the struggle before Ramirez managed to escape. The couple survived their injuries. The ammunition was old, okay? Like, Ramirez almost got his ass seriously fucking kicked here, and he bailed when he realized he was going to be just, like, outmanned, and there was no hope. So he shot people. he shot these people. The bullets did not work appropriately. He started to get his ass kicked, and he bailed on this. So that was not... what I think you would call a successful evening. In fact, I don't think he was even able to steal anything. Oh, hey, you live in Denver? That's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm way out in the country. I'm in Elbert County, in a little town, well, near a little town called Kiowa. I live way in the middle of nowhere. Any COVID Halloween plans? I am working on COVID Halloween plans. I might get married, but we'll see. Yeah, stupid bullets not doing their job. How dare they? Alright, August 8th, 1985. This one, is this a depressing one? Hold on. I gotta see if this is the really depressing one or not, because, like, good lord. There's one that really, really freaks me out, and if this is the one, then we're gonna be sad. Okay. Yeah, alright, this is a sad one. Elias Abouaf in Diamond Bar, California. After 2:30 a.m., he entered the house and went into the master bedroom. He instantly killed the sleeping Elias with a shot to the head from a .25 caliber handgun. What's sad about this is he then raped the wife, terrorized the kid, was horrible, but the whole time he promised that he had not killed the husband, and the wife was absolutely hysterical, being like, please don't kill my husband, he's a good man, you know, he will give you everything you want. She gave him everything. She gave him the diamonds, she gave him the gold, she gave him all the shit. She took him out to the car to get more stuff out of the trunk that had been hidden there. She gave him everything they had and just begged that he, you know, please don't kill my husband, but he had already killed the husband. The whole time he claimed to her that he had simply knocked the husband out. So at the end of it, after he has assaulted her repeatedly, he ties her up with her kid, and she still thinks the husband's alive. The kid, she manages to get the kid untied, and he's able to go to the neighbors across the street for help. And then when people get there to help, she finds out that her husband was actually killed and was absolutely beside herself, understandably, but just the fact that he was like, and I guess he was laughing about it, you know, he was like, no, I didn't kill him, I just knocked him out, he's just knocked out, he'll be fine, and he kept reassuring her and kind of chuckling about it. I thought that was heinous. One sec. Hey Curtis, what's up? How are you? We're talking about Richard Ramirez. Yeah, all murder is depressing, but that one really got me because, like, her biggest concern, since she knew her kid was okay, because she and the kid were, you know, together for the non-rapey parts. She knew the kid was okay, but just that she was so concerned about her husband, and then, you know, she thinks, oh, it's over, and, like, we're all okay. And then her husband was dead. That one, I've got my shit a little more together about it now, but when I was studying that murder, I cried. Oh. Ripper, what's up? How are you? Oh. So August 15th, 1985, Peter and Barbara Pan, and yes, this gentleman's name was Peter Pan, okay? Shot Peter in the head, killing him instantly, then both shot and beat Barbara. He left her for dead and scrawled a pentagram and lipstick on the wall, and also the phrase, Jack the Knife. Jack the Knife. He scrawled it on the wall in lipstick. At this point, he'd been following the press, and there was a leak about his shoes. Someone had leaked something, and the press found out about his Avia shoes, his size 11.5 Avia shoes. And at this point, he went back to, well, he had gone, I missed this part, I'm sorry, he'd gone back to San Francisco for the August 15th murder of Peter and Barbara Pan. And when he got the information through the press about the shoes, he went and dropped those off the Golden Gate Bridge, because he was like, oh, well, fuck, I can't use these anymore. So he got rid of the shoes, which is what they had kind of been using to link things together up to this point. August 24th, 1985, Mission Viejo, which is 76 miles south of Los Angeles, apparently. I had to look things up because I don't know all the ins and outs of these areas. He tried and failed to break into a house because a kid heard him messing with the screen and alerted his dad. So he flees the scene but continues on to find another victim the same night. There were Bill Carnes and Inez Erickson. He broke into the engaged couple's home, waking Bill up when he chambered a round. That happened a lot with him doing that once already in the house, and that's the second one where he woke up the guy chambering around. Shot Bill 3 times in the head but didn't kill him. Again, his ammunition was jacked. He bound Inez with ties, classy, and demanded that she swear she loved Satan. He raped her and told her to tell them the Night Stalker was here. Both parties survived. This dude needed to get new ammunition. Not that I want him to have killed more people, just I feel like if I were going to be serial killing things, like, I think I'd make sure that, like, the equipment was, like, good to go. But then again, I'm not a serial killer. Who knows? Maybe that's not really a priority when you're off murdering the shit out of people for no reason. The car he abandoned, I believe it was a truck at that point. He had gotten good about wiping cars clean and things, but he missed a fingerprint on the rearview mirror, just a big fat fingerprint, and that's part of how they got him. He went to Tucson at this point to visit his brother, which the timing on that is spectacular because they had just published his face in the paper around LA and San Francisco. His face was out there, but he hadn't seen it because he had gone to Arizona right then. And he would not know they had identified him as a Night Stalker until he returned from his trip the next day. Scrolling. Yeah, he used tiny caliber things. Hey Tyler, how are you? Oh, and no worries, just glad you made it. Yeah, and I don't really know stuff about firearms, guys. So, but one of I can't remember if it was the 25 or the 22, but Ramirez picked one of them specifically because if you used it at point blank range, his understanding was that it would bounce around in the brain and just wreak total havoc before killing the person, and he liked the idea of that. And I don't remember if that was for the 22 or the 25. All right, and we're on the last page of notes. He was not immediately arrested at the bus station because they weren't looking for incoming buses. They didn't expect him to be coming back in from Texas, where he had failed to meet his brother. His brother hadn't been home because he had just gotten up and decided to go visit him. He hadn't checked or anything. So he comes back, and there are cops all over the bus terminal. And there are people all over looking at Richard, and he's like, what the fuck? Why are people staring at me? And he sees his face on a newspaper. And people start saying, oh, murderer, it's the murderer. And he hears this, and his paranoia he's like, oh, fuck, they caught me. So he starts frantically leaving the bus station. He starts frantically leaving the terminal, and he tries to steal a car from one couple, and it doesn't work because he's all flustered. He runs to a nearby neighborhood. He takes off, runs to a nearby neighborhood, tries to steal a car from a woman, but her husband sees it and comes out and comes after Ramirez. He gets a big pipe, I don't know if it was like a lead pipe, but a pipe that like you would use to close a gate or something. You'd put it in the little slot. So he takes a pipe, and he and his neighbors and their neighbors and everyone chase Ramirez down and fucking absolutely beat his ass when they realize who he is. And that is how Richard Ramirez was caught. He was caught by an angry mob who miraculously did not beat him to death. Though they wanted to, but they decided to let they called the police, decided to let the cops handle it. Yeah, he couldn't fight. He wouldn't stay. And I wondered about him not staying and fighting, because he was fueled by, drugs and rage and psychosis. And I thought it was interesting that he ran away from that fight when, what was it, Chris something, I can't remember the gentleman's last name, but when he was about to be in a fight with someone, because I would think that Ramirez would actually stand a pretty decent chance of winning with all of his crazy. Thank you, Kenneth. Yeah, I don't know my weapons. Oh shit, Tyler, did you get like tornadoes? Was it like that kind of crazy storm? Yeah. So that is That is the tale of his victims, and I have not yet decided if we're going to do one about his court date and stuff. Well, not his court date, his trial, the whole process or not. I'm not sure if, because that will be so much technical information that I'm not sure if that's really going to be funsies or not. So what I might do is next time wrap up the Ramirez thing and talk about kind of his rock star persona in prison, and how he got married when he was behind bars, and all that stuff. I might talk about that and wrap that up, and then maybe do another one or two stories of maybe smaller killers or just weird tales next time. Does that sound good to you guys? Because I feel like the rest of Ramirez's story isn't really going to take up a whole hour. And I'd hate to just drag it out and be like, and then he switched lawyers here, and then he switched to this lawyer, and then he said this in court. I just feel like it'll be boring. Have I seen the art he sold? I have seen some of his art, and I was not terribly impressed with it. Which, I'm not like an expert on art. But I remember being like, I thought, for him, most of the appeal in his artwork was that it had been done by him. Yeah, and he definitely has that crazy look in his eye that he's just, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be dealing with people. It looks like he's like fantasizing about doing terrible things to you. But he's I will give him that he's very intelligent in interviews. And he has some pretty killer quotes. So yeah, so that will be the plan. We'll wrap this up next time. Talk a little bit about what his life was like in prison, because he continued to be inflammatory and interesting after he was captured. We'll talk about his wife and all of his fangirls and things, because that got very interesting. It would be cool to hear fun facts or things from his trial that was neat or important, just cliff notes. Okay, I can do that. I'll condense it, and then I'll tell some other story. Maybe we'll cover like Tyler Hadley or someone who's not like a whole hour worth of info. Let's see, 90 mile per hour plus winds, just knocked over a bunch of trees. Oh shit! I'm glad there were no tornadoes, but holy shit, that sounds scary. 750 miles of this shit? Holy fuck. I did not get the puppets for the hard to talk about parts. I pretty much, with the exception of a couple of things, just talked straight through the hard to talk about parts and just hoped that I didn't get in trouble. Yeah, so guys, I'll be back either next Friday or the one after that. I have some stuff coming up. I'll be doing a podcast for the Rift Radio Network, and that starts next Wednesday. The Facebook Live portion of that will be on my Sister Scarlett's comorbidity page, if you want to check that out. And I'll be advertising for that and everything, so you'll be able to get the info. But that's for a different network, and I'll be starting that on Wednesdays, and then I'll be here on Fridays. But I have to figure out if I'm going to be able to do Friday here of next week, or if I'm going to have to do another 2 weeks again. But I will let you know. With me being so pretty up to date on Ramirez information, I should be able to do next week without a problem. But I just wanted to let you know the possibility, so no one's impatiently waiting. So yeah, I did not get the puppets. I'm super sorry, guys. Super sorry. So. Alright, so I'm going to get out of here, but you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it when you come and watch me rant. I have so much fun. So I will see you soon. I love you guys. Mwah. And have a great night, okay? Stay safe.